Hello children, welcome to Paradise Lost, Book 1, Class 11. So as I said in previous class, in today's class we are going to see how this pandemonium is constructed and what are the duties carried by the different devils and what are the duties that were assigned by Satan to the different devils, various devils. This is what we are going to see in today's class. And let's begin with the spirit or the quality of Satan. So there has been a long controversy on the question of the hero of Paradise Lost. So most of the critics are of the opinion that Satan is the hero of Paradise Lost. Even Dryden, accuses Milton on this score, saying that Milton has made a wicked character the hero of his epic. So there is no doubt that Satan is the most heroic of all characters in the epic. He is the archangel who contends against the Almighty God. So there is no doubt about his strength or his power, and also his pride is it's very important. See, in the very first speech he makes, he shows himself as the master of the situation. I believe you remember those lines. This is how he begins. Farewell, happy fields, where joy forever dwells. Hail horrors, hail infernal world, and thou profoundest hell, receive thy new possessor. So he claims himself as the possessor or a ruler or the owner of the new place, that is a hell. So this is how he begins his speech. So now this is the example. This second speech is an example of his quality, Satan's speech to the devils. So he opens his address to his followers by flattering them or by praising them. See how he begins his speech, the second speech of Satan. O myriads of immortal spirits, O powers matchless. So this is how he begins. He opens his address to his followers of the devils just by flattering them. So, oh myriads means multitudes. So, oh multitudes of immortal spirits. We know they are angels, so immortals of powers matchless. So, he says their powers are matchless. The meaning, Satan tries to convince them that their struggle was not inglorious. Okay. See, and that strife is the war, the struggle was not inglorious. So he says that he tries to give them the boost. Okay, so it is not inglorious, the war that we waged against God was not inglorious, though its consequence was disastrous, though the event was dire, though beneath our dignity, though the consequence was painful. Okay. So, though the consequence was disastrous, dire meaning disastrous, but till then we did not know about the real power of the weapons of God. So, this place testifies because we do not know, Satan says, we do not know till then, till the fight, until the war, we do not know about the real power of God. And Satan finally tells his followers that they certainly cannot blame him, Satan, for the defeat, for he had neither acted against their will nor avoided any personal danger. So he says he can't be blamed for the defeat. So Satan tells his followers that it was their ignorance of the real strength of God, which they could know only when they challenged his power, that led to their defeat. So he says, without knowing the power of God, they waged war against him, but now after knowing, now they know the power of God. So it is easy for them to win for the second time. And he argues that God was the supreme, but he ruled only by convention. So he says he was the supreme, but he ruled only by convention. He means to say that the ruler of heaven, until they fought against him, did not anticipate any danger. So God did not anticipate until they waged war against him. He did not anticipate any danger. At this time, old reputation, consent of angels, and the prevailing custom enabled him to exercise his supreme power, not challenged until then. So, moreover, the angels did not have any idea of the real strength of God. So, they were therefore tempted to challenge God, his power, because they thought that he could be weak. Thus, Satan attributes his defeat to God's strength concealed, that is, thunder. This is how though he failed, though the defeat was, painful, he says Satan attributes his defeat to God's strength. That is, it's a concealed strength. That is what he says. God's strength is a concealed strength. That is the thunder. See, but still his strength concealed, which tempted our attempt and wrought our fall. So we do not know we did not actually know the real power of or the strength of God. So that concealed strength, because of that concealed strength, we failed in our first attempt. Henceforth, his might we know our own. So he says, now after this first defeat, now we know our power. His might we know his power and we know our power. So as not either to provoke or dread new war provoke. Our better path remains to work in close design by fraud or guile. So this is very important. We are going to wage war against God. We are going to wage war against him by fraud or guile. What force effected not, that he no less at length from us may find. Who overcomes by force has overcome but half his foe. So here Satan is seen as a true politician who is able to find a good excuse for his defeat. So he convinces his followers that their defeat had been due to the hidden strength of God. So this is a sufficient consolation for the fallen angels, because they considered Satan the champion of liberty. And he convinces their followers that it was not he but the concealed strength of God that was responsible for their defeat. And he says that they are now in a better position to face God, because they know the power of God. So they are trained now, they are experienced now. So they are in a better position to face God. They can fight now against God and with greater advantage, because for they now know how powerful God is, and they also know their own relative strength. So Satan means to say that that what they could not defeat by strength, they are going to achieve by craft. Okay, so by fraud or guile. So what they could not achieve, by strength, now they are going to achieve by craft. So in this way, they would make God realize that force is not the only factor in achieving victories. So he says, so we are going to teach a lesson henceforth. We are going to teach a lesson to God that it is not that force is not the only factor in achieving victories. So God will know that the victor who succeeded with the help of sheer force achieved only partial victory. So he says God will know that who succeeded with the help of sheer force achieved only partial victory over his enemy. So Satan implies that the greatest victors are those who win the hearts of those whom they have conquered. So here Satan is seen arguing quite plausibly. So it is true that the real victory is of the heart and not of the body. But Satan's belief that he can defeat God by his cunningness and fraud is a mere fallacy. So next, space may produce new worlds, whereof so rife there went a flame in heaven that he before long intended to create and therein plant. So now Satan says that new worlds are going to be created out of space. So in heaven, a rumor went that God intended to create a new world and put in it a race to whom he would show the same favor as to the angels. So Satan says that their first task will be to peep into that new world and explore the state of things there. So this is his first plan, and this is the first task that he assigns to the fallen angels. So what they are going to do, they hear the rumor that God is going to create a new space, and they are going to peep into that world and explore the state of things there. So that is the next plan. War open or understood must be revolved. So there can be no question of peace. So for who can think of submission? He says, for who can think of submission? So there is no question of submitting ourselves before God. Yes, so there is no question of submitting. There is no question of peace, or no one can think of submission. No alternative but war, open war or secret, must be resolved upon. And Satan finished his speech, and as a sign of approval, millions of flashing swords drawn from the things of great angels sprang into the air. So the sudden brilliance actually illuminated hell far and near, because hell is completely dark, but because of the sudden sword, flashing sword, hell completely illumined far and near. So they stormed loudly against the Almighty, and holding their swords, they beat upon the resounding shields, throwing challenge towards the vaulted heaven. So hurling defiance toward the vault of heaven. They all, flaming swords drawn from the thighs, they just took their swords they took their swords as a sign of approval. So fallen angels raised their swords. Dazzling light of swords illumined hell everywhere. So they stormed, all the fallen angels, they stormed loudly against the Almighty, and holding their swords, they beat upon the resounding shields, throwing challenge towards the vaulted heaven. Next is to construct a place equal to heaven, that is pandemonium. So there stood a hell, not far, whose grisly top belched fire and rolling smoke. So now Satan identified a place where they can construct a palace for themselves. And he says, see, there stood a hill. There is a hill, there stood a hill, not far, whose grisly top belched fire. So its top, it's a it spats fire, rolling smoke as tumbling smoke. The rest entire shone with a glossy scarf, a glossy outline, undoubted. So that hill must contain, he says, undoubted sign. So that is a undoubted sign, and he guesses that the guess that Satan makes, that hill must contain metallic ore due to the presence of sulfur. So he says undoubted sign that in his womb was hid metallic ore. So that hill must definitely, that stood a hill, that hill must definitely contain metallic ore due to the presence of sulfur. The undoubted sign was the hid metallic ore. So what is that metallic ore? Sulfur, the work of sulfur. So at once numerous angels flew. So supposed to be the ingredient, sulfur is supposed to be the ingredient in all metals. So at once thither winged with speed. At once numerous angels flew. Of pioneers with spade and pickaxe. They flew with the tools they had. So they went with their tools to dig the metal, to dig that metal out. Okay. So remaining, we'll see next class how they constructed, how did they perform the duties. We see that in next class. Thank you.